Hey, beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I guess you can call it a podcast. Today, we're going to try to get into the season finale of Handmaid's Tale, season 4, episode 10, and we're going to try to get it done within like 10 minutes or less. And I must warn you beforehand, there's spoilers. I'm about to talk about the entire episode. I'm going to review it. I'm going to talk about everything that happened. So if you haven't watched it yet, go ahead and click out, go watch it, come back. But I'm going to give spoilers. So let's get into it. So it starts with June having a flashback of when she and the commander used to go out of town. And, she had to act like it was kind of a love affair, like they really had a connection. And basically, we get to hear what she was telling herself in her head, which is like, don't feed into, like, don't act like you're not having a good time, act like you like it. Your life depends on it, like you have to. And there's a time when she told herself, don't bite it off. Don't bite. And she had to like keep reminding herself, don't do this. You have to play into this. So it kind of looked as if they were having a love affair. I think he kind of really felt like it. But the entire time, we knew she was doing what she had to do to just remain alive. So then we cut to the Canadian police guy, the one who basically betrayed her, and she told him in the last episode she was going to kill him after he let her know that the commander was now working with them and he's going to give them more intel on Gilead, and so he's going to be basically exonerated of everything that's happened, like he's going to be let out. So she's doing a last deposition or a last ditch effort, like trying to plead to the judge not to let him out. And basically, they didn't even want to make time to do it in person. He's like, listen, sorry we couldn't do it in person. She's like, yeah, whatever. And he's like, she's like, yeah, judges are busy. So she had to do it via Zoom. And he let her know, listen, let me just tell you that he's going to get out. Like, you're doing all this and that's fine, but he's going to get out. And then tells her some crap about being on her team. How are you on her team when you know exactly what he did to her? So she does her deposition, and June gets back to the house and her husband asks her how everything went. She's like, it was shitty, but it's over, it's done, so fine. Rita's there, Maura's there. Rita comes and she's like, praise be. And I'm like, Rita, drop it. Okay, you're not there anymore. Stop doing their whole lingo and everything. It's okay if you're spiritual and everything. Just find a different way to say it. Don't use their lingo. Like, that's not cool. But apparently it doesn't faze any of them, so whatever. So she's offering her tea and everything, and she's like, listen, stop serving. That's not what you do anymore. Maura gets off the phone because she's on the phone when she comes in. She gets off the phone and she's like, yeah, they're sending him to Geneva at the end of the week for his immunity hearing. June's like, yeah, okay. And she's like, no, you're going. You're going so you can testify in person. June says she's not going because it doesn't make a difference. So she said, you and Rita go. Rita said, I don't want any parts of it. Maura gets another phone call. She says, well, you're going. Then we cut to the commander pretty much giving another deposition about everything that's happening. Of course, he's intel, so they're asking him about things that happened at Jezebel's, which is the club that they frequented. And he said that he wasn't a frequent flyer there, basically. And yes, he was. But they asked him about a Dr. Riley a doctor and her real name, but I guess she went by Riley. And he's like, yeah, I seen her. And they're like, yeah, so you never talked to her? Yeah, I talked to her maybe a time or two or whatever. They ask, is she basically deceased? He's like, yeah. So then Serena comes out. She leaves the deposition and she meets with the Canadian police guy. And she's basically telling him, look, this lady is getting on my nerves in so many words. She's not referring to him as the commander. She needs to refer to him as commander. We're done. He's looking at her like, bitch. Then she's saying he needs more internet. He's giving you all this stuff. You guys are giving him nothing. He needs faster internet. We need a house. We need security. June gave her last ditch effort to try to stop this or whatever. Let it be done. And I'm like, girl, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And he's like, so basically what you're saying is you're leaving with him as husband and wife? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, how do you explain that? And she's like, good thing is I don't have to explain nothing to you. June meets with the commander alone. They end up having a cocktail. They're talking about old times as if they were good times. He tells her, yeah, I know that we had some really, really bad times, but they weren't all bad. Like, there was some good. And he goes back to when they had pretty much their affair, in air quotes, because it was to him, but to her, it wasn't an affair. She was being made to do it. She had to suck it up. She had to do it. And he's like, I wouldn't say it was love, but it was definitely something. And she's playing along with him again, and she's like, yeah, it was something. And he has the nerve to tell her that he misses Alfred. And she's like looking at him like he's lost his mind. But again, she's playing into it, and I think it's just confirming for her what she needs to do, because the commander still ain't shit. Even though he does apologize, and he says it's because he couldn't imagine being without his son. So he apologizes for what he did. She cries, says that she never thought he would do that, give her an apology. But again, this scene just kind of confirms with June that the commander, his head is still not in the helpful right space. He still ain't shit. Then we have June in the car with her husband. He's trying to make everything okay. He's like, hey, you want to go get a beer? You want to do this? You want to do that? And she's like, yeah, I'm going to put Fred on the wall. And he's like, what? Yeah, I'm going to put him on the wall. He's like, no, June, they're going to let him go. You got to let it go. And she's like, yeah, the fucking wall. He's going on the wall. Then we cut to June sitting on a bench. Who comes up except Canadian police? He's running up for him from his daily run. She's outside his house. He's like, nah, this is BS. You have my cell phone. You have everything. You being here is inappropriate. She's like, listen, you're going to help me. He's not getting off, and that's that. And he's like, you don't tell me, basically. Like, you guys, I'm paraphrasing. I'm using my words, but this is pretty much what they said. He's like, you don't tell me. And she's like, listen, just do me a favor. Just take me for a ride and hear me out. So they end up meeting with Commander Lawrence, June, and the Canadian police guy. And June says that Commander Lawrence got her safe passage, so everything is fine. So they sit with him, and they're trying to make a trade. He's like, yeah, we just need our brother home. And the police guy is like, yeah, I bet you do, because he's talking. Like, basically, he's giving up all y'all stuff. And he's like, no, we just need him home or whatever. So he's like, we're willing to do a trade. So he hands him these files of 22 women that they thought were dead. And apparently they are not dead. They were part of the resistance. And, they're okay, but they're still there, and he could save them. So they say, well, what's the trade-off? We need to trade him for them. You trying to save lives, so let's save lives. And he says that he's going to take it back to his boss and see. So in the end of this scene, Commander Lawrence and June, Commander Lawrence tells June, whatever we end up doing with him when we get him is not going to be enough for you. It's just not. And she's like, all right, good seeing you, because she knows it's true. But my question in this scene is, why didn't she try to get Hannah? Like, why wasn't Hannah a part of the trade? It just seems like it would have been so much easier to try to get them to get Hannah. They want him to shut up, so they're going to give whatever they need to give. And I don't know, just strange, but we'll see what happens. You guys, I'm not going to make my 10-minute cutoff. I'm going to try so hard to just get it a little bit over 10 minutes. But we're coming to the end. Commander is thinking he's on his way to Geneva, and then the police come and grab him. He's like, what is this posturing? What are you doing? And he's like, yeah, you're not going to Geneva. You don't have a lawyer anymore. You're under my care. I have you now. And they put him in the back of a paddy wagon. The paddy wagon stops on the infamous bridge that we always see them trying to get over and get past. And we see the ladies going past. And he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, is this a trade? And he's like, yeah, we're sending you home. We're sending you home to be tried under the same laws that you helped write. They then walk up on Commander Lawrence, who's like, Fred, it's kind of nothing we can do. Then Nick comes, and Lawrence is like, hey, Nick, is there anything that we can say that would, help this situation out? He's like, no. Lawrence is just like, well, we tried, and walks away. Nick takes them away. He's driving off in the paddy wagon once again. He's all shackled and everything, and he's constantly calling Nick's son. Son, what are you doing? Son, what's going on here? Son. So he ends up taking him out the paddy wagon. They look across the field, and who do you see? June. June comes walking up, and he's terrified because he already knows. And as soon as she gets up to Nick, they kiss. And when I tell you, Commander Fred was just like, ew, oh my God, oh, this is sickening. Oh my God, what is going on here? But it was hilarious. So they kiss, she kissed Nick, and then Nick backs away. she ends up, I'm trying to hurry up and get it done. She ends up beating basically her and all the other ladies. They come out with flashlights. They chase him down. She tells him run. And they chase him down. They beat the entire shit out of him. So basically they beat him to death. And then one scene that we see June bites him. Because remember in the flashback where she was going, don't bite him, don't bite. Now she could bite him. So she bit the shit out of him. They beat him to death. She gets back home. She's all bloody. She goes straight to the baby's room. Husband comes in, sees her all bloody, and he's like, what the? But basically he already knows, because he knows what she wanted to do, and he knows that she's crazy as all get out at this point. So she's just like, let me have 5 minutes with the baby. He goes down, he slides down the wall because he's a sensitive man. She says, let me just have 5 minutes and then I'll leave, because basically she knows he thinks she's crazy as all get out and she can't stay there anymore. No, June, you gotta go. You're crazy. And here's the funny part. I'm okay with June being crazy because it makes sense. After all the stuff that she went through, something should be wrong with her. Something should be wrong with all of them. So that's how it ends. Let's go season 5. Let's see what's going to happen. The season to me started off a little slow, but the ending, everything. All right. Thanks, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll meet you back here again. Smooches.